Nothing but the truth. Emotions had been building in Frank for weeks now. His body felt as if it quivered, buzzed. In fact, the entire town of Maybury seemed to be buzzing along with him. It was the day of the annual fete, traditionally held on the Saturday closest to June 22nd, the feast day of St. Alban. True, the centuries-old church in Maybury was dedicated to St. Cuthbert, but tradition had it that Alban, a Roman soldier before his conversion and 3rd century martyrdom, had once been stationed at a small fort whose ruins lay downstream from the bridge. Perhaps a legacy of his non-Christian background, his feast day was treated with more of an air of pagan celebration than the restrained religious service held for Cuthbert in the church every March. Macduff's circus had trawled onto the village green the afternoon before, the big top now standing proud, surrounded by numerous stalls and animal cages. To be honest, fewer cages and more stalls. Macduff's was a one-family affair which just about merited the name circus. But the traditional coconut shies, tombola barrels, hoopla stands and displays of allotment vegetables set up for the fete padded out the few enclosures for the ponies, monkeys and exotic birds. Add to that the jauntily painted caravans of the circus performers themselves and the small tents housing their novelty acts and displays, and the village green was transformed. As the main day in the year when Maybury puts on its glad rags, on this particular Saturday everyone settled down to this serious business of having fun. Animals had been groomed, plants and prize vegetables chosen for the biggest and best competitions. The troupe of Morris dancers from the nearby town had arrived in their minibus that morning as usual. Piggy banks for miles around had been emptied to provide funds for the day's enjoyment. Bunting fluttered, as did Frank's heart. He had been waiting months for this day to arrive. Every year, perhaps with wry intent, the Macduff family would set up a booth opposite the church gates, announcing the presence of Madame Morgana. Each St. Albans Day afternoon, after passing over silver coinage, an eager line of fairgoers would be ushered through the booth. These individuals would emerge some 10 minutes later with smothered giggles, a pensive forehead, or perhaps even a disappointed look, depending on what they'd wanted to hear. This year, however, Frank had a serious question close to his heart. For the last 2 years he had only had eyes for Lizzie, whom he'd known since they attended Maybury Primary School together. Both were now members of a friendly gaggle of adolescents, all turning 18 this year, all ready to begin the next stage in their lives. Frank had no doubt about his pathway. He was going to agricultural college for 3 years, and on his return would help his father run the family farm, which he would then inherit in time. His question was clear-cut. If he asked Lizzie to go steady with him now, would she be willing to follow the same pathway? Throughout her adolescence, Lizzie had laughed at all the boys when they'd come close with their queries about dating, danced away from them when they came even closer with their lips and hands, and escaped with alacrity when they tried to pin down her future with their serious questions. Tossing her brown curls, flashing her wide smile, friends with one and all, she kept her own counsel, her plans secret, and her friends in the dark. Frank had known for a long time now that he'd not get a definitive answer from her if he asked, but he needed an answer from someone, so Madame Morgana it was. Surely someone with her experience and skills would know what to tell him. As indeed she did. She told him a story of gypsy passion, of two younglings who'd known since their first steps they'd spend their lives together. She outlined the signs they'd recognised, the depth of their emotions, the strength of their knowing. She drew in detail for him the strands of her own love and her joy on her gypsy wedding day. For the first time seeing clearly the threads needed to create any future tapestry, Frank realised with dread the knowledge he'd been refusing to face these last 2 years. He would have known by now if Lizzie was going to be in his future. Stumbling out of the booth, he left the village green, going home to the farm where he spent most of his summer, until he left for college that summer. He never visited Madame Morgana again. Maybe some questions in life are better unanswered.